And we're live. Welcome, everybody. This is Reality Czars podcast, and we are host tonight, Nate and Tony.
Hello.
Holy shit, Tony's here. How you been, man?
I've been good. So, like I was talking to you about, I just got back from PorcFest a while ago. I'm still not acclimated to the indoors yet.
Yeah, I'm so fucking jealous that you live out on the East Coast. Like, I'm still afraid of ticks, and that's what keeps me away from, like, New Hampshire and basically the entire East Coast. Why I don't want to go anywhere near there is because of the fucking ticks and the Lyme disease. But
yeah.
I'm jealous of PorcFest.
You just have to check yourself. My understanding of this, and I mean, take this with a grain of salt, is that the ticks have to be on you for a while before they cause it.
Until they, like, swell up and then barf in you.
Yeah.
It's like a 2-day process.
So as long as you constantly check yourself. Although it's really sneaky, man. I found one on my back the other day, and I did not even, like, you don't feel them.
Yeah, you're never going to know. You're never going to fucking know if it's, like under your knee. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes they'll just, like, sneak in, like, some weird spot or, like, by your fucking hairy armpit, like, just sneak in there, and then you can't even really see it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. They freak me out.
The perfect bioweapon.
I have ticks in Oregon, but I don't think the majority of them have fucking Lyme disease. It happens, though. Like, my friend's dad got Lyme disease. That was back in, like, California. Like, it will fucking happen from time to time. And then it's harder because people don't think you have it on the West Coast. So it's not the first thing. And so it's one of those things that, like, if you catch it early, you can fucking do something about it. But if you have it for a minute, like, it's like one of those things that can really fuck you up.
Well, it's one of those things, too, where it could be a lot of... I'm sorry.
Sorry, go ahead, Tony.
I was going to say, like, there's a lot of things that are adjacent to it where, like, it's like, okay, you could get Lyme disease, or maybe you have some kind of mold poisoning, or maybe 1,000 other things that you're just off, and you don't know why, and you've probably been off a while long enough so, like, people just don't even realize it.
Yeah, because you might start just thinking, hey, I have a cold, and I kind of feel sluggish. I kind of feel like shit. You know, and then you kind of wait like a while. You're like, well, fuck, man, this cold has been lasting like a month. You know, I feel like shit. And like, yeah, it's one of those things too. Exactly what you said. It can be so easily misdiagnosed. Like, I think his dad didn't fucking know especially because on the West Coast, like I said, it's not the thing that they think you might have. Like, at least over there, that's probably one of the things they're like, well, maybe we should check for that.
Yeah.
You know, that's like something that is more common. So anyways, man, you had a good time at fucking PorcFest?
Yeah, you know, the cool part about PorcFest is that pretty much every type of thing that's in the non-PorcFest world is present there. Like, you can find all types of people. You can have you choose your own adventure story. If you want to hang out with politicians the whole time, you can do that. If you want to go and, you know, like, no, but you can.
Politicians, first of all, they always reek of, like, they're all fucking phonies. Almost all of them. Because they're putting on a fucking, like, they have to put on their, like, political bullshit, right? So, I dislike politicians in general. But, like, libertarian politicians are even fucking goofier. Because then they have to, like, they're bigger liars. Because for the most part, they pretend like they have a chance. You know what I mean? They have to, like, bullshit to themselves. Like, they're so delusional. They're so out of their fucking mind. It's pretty fucking pathetic, dude.
Yeah, my last day down there, I was getting breakfast with some people, and they were selling drugs at breakfast, but they made a good breakfast. I don't know about the quality of the drugs, but some guy came by and he was running for president. Some guy I've never heard of, and they were just trolling this guy. I mean, this guy was probably a little bit on the spectrum. You know, like, you could just, like, I mean, he was running, and he was being really sincere, and I felt bad for the guy, and he's just being trolled so bad. And, you know, like, these guys are not going to vote they're not voting. Like, but
well, dude, those are the libertarians that I enjoy the most. Are the fucking ones that are, like, irreverent, hate the state. They know the state is a fucking joke. Dude, I keep going back and forth though, man. I got to be honest with you. Like, I'm getting a fucking, like, twinge of neo-reactionaryism in me. Because, like, I see the way that, like, liberals basically have destroyed, like, Okay, so I'm sitting there watching TV with my wife like last night,
Yeah.
and there's this fucking commercial that comes on, and it's about pubic hair, and it's about like women shaving their pussy hair, and it's like, there shouldn't be any stigma. Say it, pubic hair, PUBIC, and then they had like little cartoon tubes and shit. They're like, shave that off your twat, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? This is on television right now.
Well,
like, nothing. They're to do a hard, like, old right-wing stodgy conservative faster than watching shit like that.
Well, it's funny because who's the one who put the stigma in the first place, right? These same companies selling you products to shave you, like, you know, like they have it at both ends. That's the funny part to me, is that like you create this stigma, so we go out and buy all these products because, you know, 100 years ago people were like going all natural with that shit, you know.
Well, yeah, they weren't shaving their pussy. You're right. Like, so, like, all these companies got them. It's fucking weird, dude. Like, yeah, I mean, because that took a fucking like a what is that called? Like a public, I don't know, like yeah, basically to get chicks to all think they need to shave their twats, and so that became a thing. Which, I mean, thank God that was a great thing. That was a great public push. I mean, I'm not a freak that wants like a scorched earth, because that's weird too. You're like, you know, there should be something there, but I don't need a fucking like afro down there either. Anyway, who gives a fuck? Nobody wants to hear that shit come out of me. I'm gonna stop talking.
Yeah, it is one of those things that I just don't feel like. I mean, you know, like if you're going back with someone, you don't know the situation down there. Like, I don't think it's going to be a deal breaker at that point.
No, but I mean, like, there should be just some personal self maintenance that we all do for each other, for our partner, right? Just like,
yeah, well, you know, we can all work that shit out ourselves. You know, it's just whatever you want. Like, it's.
And there's some people that really appreciate, like, they just want that crazy giant bush. Yeah, so that's good for them. And there's some fucking creeps that want absolutely nothing. If there's anything there, they think it's gross. And I'm like, you kind of sound like a pedophile to me. I was teasing my buddy Ghost because I thought it was a joke, but he was like they were like joking around saying that he was into midgets. Apparently, he actually is really freaked out by midgets and hates midgets. But I knew that he's like freaked out by pubic hair in general, and so I was like, "So you want him shaved and tiny?" I was like, "You're fucking sick, dude. You're fucking sicko." Anyways, I love that guy. He's a good dude. Shout out to Ghost.
Yeah, pedophile adjacent or something.
Yeah, I was like, dude, that's weird. There's something odd about that.
It's a weird.
His camera is picking it up. I am dumping fucking sweat right now. It's like almost 100 degrees here. Yeah, in Portland today. It's fucking hot, and I can't have a fan on, or else it's gonna screw up the audio. So I'm suffering for you good people right now. Fuck, it's hot, but I've got an ice cold beer that is helping me survive this. Tony, how you doing, buddy? You said it's like 80 something where you're at?
Yeah, about that. It's really humid, so it's been raining a shit ton. Like our 4th was just.
That's the thing about the East Coast, right? It's hot, but it's like humid as fuck, right?
It's humid, yeah. It's just. Well, last year was really dry, so I'm glad to get the rain. Last year, it was just everything was dead, man. It's like a fucking hellscape. Everyone's grass is brown, plants are dead. Like, you start to worry about food at that point. Like, it really does get scary.
Yeah, it does, dude. It's fucking weird. I mean, and it's all fake, dude. You can tell this shit is fake. Like, they are fucking with our weather. Like the year before, I was talking to Drew Misson. Shout out to Drew. He was telling me it was either the year before or the year before. Anyways, like, you remember the year in Portland? I don't know if you were even here yet, or here still, or if you just moved, but sorry, I had a burp. Okay, pardon again. Do you remember when it got to like 120 degrees here? Were you still here, or was that the year you moved?
No, I remember that. Yeah, yeah.
Dude, that was nuts. It was the 3rd hottest place on the planet in Portland, Oregon.
There's fires all around us. The fucking city was burning. Yeah. That was a fucking.
That same year, Drew said that at least a part of Australia he's at, they didn't have summer. Summer just skipped that year. And it never stopped raining. And it was just fucking bizarre. I'm like, that's not natural, dude. It's not human-made. It is human-made climate change, but it's not because we're driving around in fucking cars. It's because of fucking. I think it's the fucking heart machines. I'm blaming the Jewish space lasers. I'm blaming the. I don't know.
So okay, like, do you think that it could be that, like that's a lot of power to like I think that we could like create like.
I mean, you're like, talking to a moron here. I don't know exactly what they do at that fucking hydrogen collider. What the fuck is that called again? I think could be doing anything over there. They're destroying the weather and they're talking to demons and they're opening up portals. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, it could be.
I have no idea, dude. You're talking to a moron. I just have fun. What's new, dude? What's in the news? Like, what have you been thinking about? Like aliens and like all kinds of weird, goofy shit that's going on. Biden just put all the fucking reserves on active duty or something like that. He's gonna send them to fucking Europe. Did you read about that?
Yeah, well, I didn't read about it, but it seems more and more like this whole thing in Ukraine is kind of a dig against Europe too. It's I don't know where it's fucking going. I mean, like, that peace and stability in Europe was like, we didn't want that for too long.
No, dude, we don't get those like stinky cheese-eating surrender monkeys. We don't want them to get too comfortable. We got to keep the Europeans on their toes. Yeah, so we got to fucking destabilize the Middle East and flood their fucking countries with migrants so that all their women get raped and their streets are fucking burning to death right now, like in France. I made a meme the other day. I was like, France, if Portland was a country. It is similar to that. I stole that idea. Shout out to the Media Monarchy. Somebody had made a joke on there about that, and I turned it into a meme. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's crazy, like, how much of, like, well, France always seems like it's on the verge of something. Like, they just, like I guess it's easy to, like, part of, like, culture, they sign up people. Because, like, the last I heard, and it might be about something else now, it was just, like, retirement age was going up, like, 2 years.
And that's the thing about them. They act like they're fucking, like, wild fucking, like, radicals and they're, like, freedom fighters. But they're really just fighting for more socialism. Yeah. They just get really pissed when you're like taking away, like they're like when the government's trying to, I don't know, dude. They're like, no, we want you to have more power. Like we want you to tread on us harder, daddy. You know?
Well, it's just so nuts to be.
Sorry, my internet just shit the bed. I don't know.
Oh shit. No, there's no lag or nothing. You're good.
Go ahead, Tony.
No, it's just so crazy to like stage a riot over like you have to go and work another 2. Just like the idea like you're rioting now because like 40 years from now like you'll have to work an extra 2 years. God knows what's going to happen in that time, like whether or not like we're just plugged into the Matrix, World War 3 and 4 happen, like
dude, I mean it's just cute that they think that they're of retirement.
yeah that too.
None of us are going to get to retire, dude. That's a fucking joke.
No, and you dumbasses are burning down your country. You're wasting resources.
I mean, that's the whole thing with the burning down of the country and shit like that. It's like if they were focused and they were like selectively attacking certain targets, like I would be their biggest cheerleader. I've said that shit about Antifa too. It's like when they were, they're still retarded. Like they're trying to burn down the stone courthouse. You're like, that's not going to work, dumbass. But I like your spirit. Your anger is targeted at the right place. And then they'll like burn down a taco stand. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Like little Pedro over here is like a migrant. You know what I mean? Like he put all of his fucking savings into opening a taco truck, and then you're going to burn that to the ground?
Tacos are a sign of white supremacy, so.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's fucking white supremacy adjacent. Now with all the Beaner fucking white supremacists.
Yeah.
All the Mexican, yeah. So, I mean, he could have been a full-on fucking 1488, I guess. But, yeah, it's just so fucking goofy, dude. Like, so, to me, it's like, if they're attacking the police station, I'll fucking get pom poms. I'll wear a skirt. I'll fucking dance. I'll be like, yeah, go, go. But then they attack mom and pop shops. So it's the same thing with Paris, dude. Like I loved when they I think they like occupied the Black Rock like building for a minute and like fucked it up. Like there in Paris, I think they like really fucked some shit up over there. That's awesome. Fuck yeah, more of that. But I mean, dude, honestly, like the media is like really blacked it out a lot. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I have no idea what's actually happening in France right now. I only get bits and pieces from like a video from Telegram or something. I'm like, whoa, that seems fucked up, you know? But how the fuck would I know? I don't know what the fuck's going on over there.
Yeah, no, I'm guessing it's basic. My guess would be that it's just a couple of blocks. I think it's just enough to get on the camera, shout it out to the world.
And it's a fucking war zone in those 2 blocks, though. Because some of the pictures that are coming out of there, I was like, holy shit. Like cars flipped over on fire, smoke is fucking filling the air. Like people are all bloody. I'm like, holy shit. But I mean, that's the same thing that was happening in Portland. Exactly. It was really only a couple of blocks that were like really fucking wild. And then the rest of Portland was pretty chill for the most part, unless they get a wild hair up their ass. You remember when Antifa was literally going through neighborhoods with bullhorns and they're making people come out of their houses. They're like, Black Lives Matter, say it. Like people would have to come out of, or what were they going to do? Were they going to burn their house down? Like what if they weren't home, you know? Like what if people are probably like turning their lights off, pretending not to be home, you know?
Oh my god, that is so intimidating. Yeah, they went off script on that one. That is such a dick thing to do. Go to someone's fucking house. It's not the like this is as close to a lynching as we've been. Like your home, man. That's like that's a safety, man. Like when you play in tag, you touch the tree, like you can't get, you know.
Yeah, safety.
You can't violate that shit. But
well, it's also funny that like they know where they can do that and where they can't. Because if they came to my neck of the woods and tried that shit, they'd fucking get sent home in a body bag. Like the good old boys out here in Columbia County, they would not be okay with it. And there's you know, like they're pretty chill. Like for the most part, right wingers are pretty like, just leave me alone, you queer. You know what I mean? They don't really care. But like, there's like, I have neighbors down the road that have like the trans flags and all this and that. Like, so nobody gives a shit. But if like Antifa was like legit coming up trying to intimidate people, there would be a problem. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, there's not like radical, mean right wingers. They're just hillbillies who want to be left alone. But if you came to the neighborhood and were trying that shit, it would not go the way they'd want it to go. It would not be good.
No, I think it's kind of like what your meme is. Like, if it's not actually the same people behind the riot and the Paris or the Portland.
I think it might be.
It probably is.
Same groups of people. It's like Soros money. It's like these big fucking like groups of psychos that like start this kind of shit. They initiate this kind of shit.
Well, the same logic. It's the same. Like they're playing the same game. So
it's the same. It's the same instability game, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's like what's his name? Macron. They're fucking. They don't even have presidents. What the fuck is he? Like prime minister or whatever the fuck he is. He's been flirting around with the BRICS shit. You know what I'm talking about? Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. He asked them to like invite him over, and then he was playing like footsie with China for a minute, like trying to like suck Xi Jinping's toes and stuff. And like he's playing with our enemies and and he's like, anyways, he's been doing some goofy shit like that. And I almost think that this is almost like the CIA saying like, how much you want to play? How much you want to play? I can get to you. I'll fuck you to death with a baton like Muammar Gaddafi. They're gonna kill you with a sword in your ass. Like, I don't know. Like it could be just that, like a little intimidation, like them fucking with him, being like, we could get to you. You want to see a color revolution? Francis had them before. People would believe it.
See, the problem with that now is like everyone knows how to do it, so it's just like pushing a button on your computer. Just instead of like you get like a thumbs down, you get a fucking 3 months of rioting.
You get 3 months of riots, and then all of a sudden, like, where did these pallets of bricks come from? These just appeared here. What the fuck?
But it's probably just someone probably has like a fucking app on their phone where they're just like you just punch in some coordinates and like minor riot, like you want an increase of shoplifting, you want like whatever you want, like you just calculate it, and we get so much metadata that we could just basically manipulate enough people and do whatever you want. And they're
dude, if you listen to Binkley from the Propaganda Report, he is like part of like, so he would like sign up for like these newsletters from these like woke crazies, right? And so it's like the same type of people that are like the people that would say like the vote got stolen in Georgia, right? Like Stacey, what's her name? Stacey Abrams.
Yeah,
her type of groups. And there's all these like radical lefty groups that like you can get on their sign into their like email newsletters and stuff. And they legitimately, they give you talking points. They tell you like when and where to show up, where to fucking riot. They have places where you can pick up your signs. They have places that you can like organize. Like, and so he's like, he had signed up for like a lot of these groups, and he gets the emails, and like I haven't listened to that show in a minute, but he used to like read the fucking emails sometimes. They're fucking interesting as shit, dude. So he's part of their like newsletters and stuff. And like, dude, there's like actual like organized. And the thing is, like, if the right was doing this, they would call this like insurrectionary, right? But like, I don't like to play in the left right bullshit. It's all one thing. But the Democrats are like, they're right now at least they're part of the establishment. So, like, the establishment lets him get away with this shit, right? And they let him seriously get away with this shit before the vote. You remember that? And then after Joe Biden became president, then they were like, all right, Black Lives Matter, you got to rein it back in. You remember that? And then they had to calm it down again. So they have a lot more control over this shit. It's like a rabid dog that they have, like, that they like keep in a cage. When they need to, they like kick it a few times and then open the cage and let him go nuts.
Well, just how COVID just stopped mutating, right? Because it knew.
Yeah. And so this is one of those things that it's like there's a lot of just like groundswell of like normal ding dongs that are just going to go along with it. But there is an actual like structured organization behind this shit. So like it's not like everybody's in on it and everybody knows. It's like a lot of them are just like goofy white women that are fucking bored, that have nothing else to do, that are on fucking welfare, that have boarded all their fucking kids and their cats over there, and they're just wine drunk. They want to be like fucking strong power bitches. You know what I mean? And so they're gonna show up with their fucking stupid dykey dude that's all purple, and they're gonna go smash the fash. And it's just goofy fucking like they just need to get the cobwebs knocked off their snatch and go to Pound Town. Like, but these women they're just gross slobs, and so nobody's gonna do that. And so they're just angry and bitter, and they're looking to fight.
Yeah, well, it's like kind of operates the same way like every other military operates. It's just like this new kind of way of fighting, but it's just like you're up there's who give the orders, they orchestrate everything, they just like pass down stuff to more and more local level. So you just got a bunch of people who don't know what the fuck they're doing, but they're fighting people. So
well, I mean, you can also how many gross slobs can you just throw in the front lines? You know what I mean? Like they don't fucking matter. Like you can just put all these like little skinny twinks and dorks and like be like, all right, you're fierce now. Go smash that fash. You know,
it doesn't matter because it's not a physical fight. Like no one's for the most part engaging in actual violence. So it's all just like this optics, it's blowing shit up. But it's like, yeah, you could be fat and slow. Like it doesn't matter.
And it's LARPing too, and it's fun. Like I remember being like a fucking like preteen. I was probably like 12. There was all these fucking dorks that would show up at the park in Sequoia Park. If people know what I'm talking about, Eureka, California. All these like dorks would show up to Sequoia Park on the weekends, and they would show up with like their sweet like PVC pipe swords that are like wrapped in like fucking like styrofoam and duct tape, and like would have like bow and arrows and shields and stuff. And they'd all be they'd go to have this big LARP war, and they'd all like fight each other and stuff. Like that's what these guys are doing, except they're grown-ups.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Well, and also they don't know they're doing it. That's like, we need to bring that back, because then at least like you don't actually hate the person that's you're fighting. Like you're just having fun.
Yeah, you're right, dude. Like this should just be like fun. People should get there. Like you're absolutely right. Like more people should be able to like go and have fun and like fight. They need to start doing more like D&D, or like start having, there needs to be other ways like for people to get out their aggression. And maybe in a lot of ways, like I've read like the etymology, or like kind of what happened with like because the people would demand, right? What the fuck am I talking about? People, Roman Colosseum shit, right? People wanted that. People wanted to see public executions. People wanted to see like somebody get fucking stabbed in the heart. People wanted to see people get eaten by lions and shit. Like the people would love that shit. And so then they started trying to like ease it up and nice it up, and that's where you get like football, and that's where you get all these like big sporting games to get your excitement all up. And you're like, oh, get your aggression out on the weekend. You drink some beers and like maybe headbutt somebody, and you're like, yeah, my team rules. Right. And so I mean, for some of these goofy fucking like lesbian, like underwater basket weaving, like dance lesson psychopaths, like they don't have a sport really. Like, what are they supposed to do? So like this is their sport.
Yeah.
This is their outlet. This is where they get their angst out. And there should be some healthier places for them to do this. Like, I go, how do I do it? Like, I just get on here and I talk a bunch of shit, I guess. This is me getting my angst out right now.
You ever see the knights, like the people who dress up like medieval knights and they just attack each other en masse?
Dude, that's what I was talking about, the LARPing guys. Those guys
are
full on.
Yeah, they're not like styrofoam though. Like some people do it with actual weapons, and it's.
Dude, I love Ren fairs. Ren fairs are fucking fun as shit.
Yeah, no, like we should have like all sorts of like what like.
Dude, I'm such a fucking dweeb. I'll have a sword on my fucking hip, and I'll be like, I'll eat a turkey leg, and I'll be drinking mead out of a fucking horn and shit. I love Ren fairs. That shit is so much fun.
Nah, I like the idea of like a war theme.
I'll grow this out. I gotta bead my fucking mustache and get it all fucking braided and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun, dude. I love that shit. No, I mean, yeah, there needs to be more shit like that. Or maybe we should just bring back public executions for like pedophiles. This is on YouTube. I think my internet went out. I don't know if you heard what I said.
It's a little glitchy, but yeah, I get it. I get what you're trying to get at. Yeah, I don't know how I feel, but like that would be interesting, like the public execution thing.
Are you still there?
Yeah,
everybody.
Yeah.
Oh man,
can you hear me?
Okay. Now I can hear you. Yeah, dude. Okay. I spent so much money on getting literally the best internet you can get. But it's the best internet you can get in Scappoose, I guess. But it's supposed to be like legit as fuck, and it's still shitty. It still sucks. I have my landline. I'm directly connected to like Ethernet connected to this like fancy booster that's also connected to my fucking modem. Like my internet is supposed to be tits, dude, like the best, and it still sucks.
That's weird. Scappoose isn't that far out. I mean,
no, dude, but it's far enough out where you're kind of fucked with one of those like shitty monopolies as far as like this is the only kind of internet you can buy. Like there's no other competition. So like I spend a lot of money for the very fucking best internet money can buy you in Scappoose, and it still sucks. But anyways, what I was saying is I don't know what you heard, but I was saying, should I repeat it? Did you hear what I said?
You were executing some public executions. Yeah, I just feel like once we have that, like they're gonna find like people and just exit like once you turn that into entertainment, like everyone's being executed. Like they're just finding people.
Yeah, I know. It's not a great idea. And I'm mostly kidding.
Yeah, I get it. It's
Uh, well, what do you think's going to happen in the Ukraine, buddy? How much longer can they keep that shit up?
I don't know. And again, it's one of those things that I don't really know what's going on over there. It seems like the fighting is a little bit realer there. It's interesting because you get all these like law pin things, and then like when you start to see like stuff that's happening where it's like, oh yeah, this is like what war looks like in 21st century, and it's
yeah, I mean it's hard to really know what the fuck's going on, right? Like we'll never get the full fucking story, but I mean clearly. All right, I'm gonna make some folks mad because I have some Ukrainian friends, like legit, really good friends of mine that are Ukrainian, and actually some family members that are Ukrainian. You guys are Russian. Nobody sees you guys as anything different. You guys look alike. You guys sound alike. You guys have a shared history. The Kievan Rus, I mean, you guys basically came from the same lineage. I think you guys are fucking Russians, and so this is almost like a civil war, like little like cousin infighting sort of thing. And so I have nothing, like it doesn't bother me. I mean, I don't want to see I don't want to see innocent people hurt. And for the most part, dude, like the people that are really suffering, like, dude, I mean, okay, more nuanced answer. War sucks in general. Secondly, almost all the soldiers, because I was going to talk about the innocent people, and I'm very concerned about the innocent people in this, because it sucks that the United States is getting involved in extending this and making it worse. But then I was kind of scoff at the soldiers' lives, except, dude, almost all of these guys are fucking conscripted. None of these fucking guys volunteered. Like the Ukrainians, it's like if you're like 12 to like 85, they put a gun in your hand and force you to fight. It's something ridiculous like that. So it's like none of these guys wanted. I mean, some of them probably did legitimately. Some of them were like, "Hey, I want to defend the homeland," and I get that 100%. I would be there too, but it fucking sucks for the normal, like average fucking person. Anyways, long story short, what I'm saying is, America needs to stay the fuck out of it because it's seriously not our fucking business. We need to get our shit the fuck out of there. But it's been our like weird little pedophile playground for so long. It's so many like filthy creeps in the United States. Like it was one of those wild places, dude. It was the wild fucking West. Somebody says, "Woo!" Thank you, Adam Bomb. Yeah, dude. No, it's been a fuck fest. Like it's one of like the highest child trafficking and human trafficking like hubs in Europe was the Ukraine, and they were using it to fucking money launder, do all kinds of wild fucking crazy shit. Israel was like before like so that's a funny story. Israel was dumping, and there was documentaries about this. Israel was like bringing in grips of young Ukrainian girls to fuck. And then and to marry, they were doing like mail order bride things and like bringing them over here and bringing them over to Israel and raping them. And but then some more right wing like radical nationalists in Israel were like, "Hey, we don't like this because every once in a while you're knocking them up, and then you're making like mongrels." Basically, they're like, oh, we want pure Jews, and you're like muddying the bloodlines. And so they actually stopped bringing in so many only because they were getting pregnant, and they didn't like that. That's pretty fucking interesting. So I mean, Ukraine has been like this, just really a fucking tragic situation since the USSR fell, and they've just kind of been like tag teamed and like trafficked to like the rich elites from every single country, from like the United States to Israel to like probably all of the EU has been using it as a fucking playground. And now like there's probably some significant evidence in there. Like I've definitely heard those stories that that's what like Putin was trying to do. He was trying to go in there and try to expose some of the, because also, dude, they were doing major, like we're on YouTube right now. This is probably already going to get taken down, but whatever. They were doing like major genetic testing and doing some like germ theory, like pharmaceutically kind of bad shit there. And because there's no rules, right? And so like Russia was trying to expose that too. And that's all of that stuff too is kind of silly because it kind of makes like Putin sound like the good guy in the
scenario,
which is like I have to fucking second guess all of that shit too because I don't think Putin's a fucking good guy either. Anybody that's in charge of a country is not a good guy. But I certainly don't give America like a pass and say like, oh, we're the good guy in this scenario. Like the whole American exceptionalism is fucking lost on me. That's bullshit.
Yeah, they're definitely just in the middle of shit. And it's, I bet you there's a lot of people when that first happened, they were like, okay, like we need to defend our land. But now that it's been like over a year, it's like, okay, like we gotta to figure something out. Like, and I think that that's
it's been a minute. You were on the episode that we did with Scott Horton, right? You were there.
Yeah.
That was a minute ago, dude. And that was like 2 weeks before it kicked off. Do you remember that? Like, because Scott was like,
because he was no way. Yeah.
Invaded.
We were off on that one, but yeah. Well, that's the thing, man. Like, we just don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's over there. If
Scott Horton doesn't know, then our goofy asses really don't know.
Yeah, we just need to, I think it's just, we need to get the fuck out of there. We're escalating it. Yeah, and it's like, if we're sending weapons, and those weapons are probably being sent elsewhere. You know, half of Africa is in a civil war right now, so those weapons are coming from somewhere.
Are they? I don't know shit about that. Dude, do you know that they fucking track back some of the weapons that are being used right now in France? Like they found like these like machine guns, all these crazy weapons. They're like, hey, these are the weapons we gave to the Ukrainians. So that shit, just the second it hits the ground, some like Ukrainian oligarchs, they're the ones that get all of the fucking shipments. They're like instantly like probably keeping what they want and then selling the rest. You know what I mean? Like none of that shit's getting to anybody. Like that's the tragedy about like foreign aid for the most part is like what'll happen is like for this tiny little poor shitty country, like in the middle of like Timbuktu, they're like the normal people are fucking starving to death. In rich countries like us will just go and like dump obscene amounts of money, aid, medicine, food, whatever the fuck you want, right? And we drop it off over there. And they have such a corrupt government that it fucking gets taken by all these like warlords and like gang leaders, basically. And then they sell it back to the people or use it themselves. And like the people that actually need it never get a fucking thing, dude.
Well, I mean,
or they have to like fuck for it. Like they'll literally be like, you know what I mean? Like it'll be awful. They do terrible things. And so like a foreign aid is like it's a goddamn joke, dude. And really what foreign aid really is about, it's not like they'll sell it to you as we need to help the poor starving people of Shaboom or whatever the fuck it is, right? But really what it is we want our leader in Shaboom to do what the fuck we want him to do. And so it's basically an open bribe using money that they take from the taxpayers.
Well, and also once you start to win the war, then you stop getting the weapons that you're selling. So you have no incentive to actually improve the situation. More people die, the more foreign aid you need, right? Like you want that, you want to get those death tolls up so people feel bad and they start to send you stuff and they can be kind of justified in the public mind. And yeah, it is completely fucked up.
Well, dude, and then they're also in the guise of NGOs, non-governmental organizations, they'll send like aid and things like that. But like, really, what does that look like? Like the Red Cross has been caught a bajillion times going to like a small, poor country that fucking really needs aid and help. And what do? Rape all the kids. I'm not kidding. They've been caught. Like, you can look this up right now. The fucking Red Cross has been caught a bajillion times busting nuts and kids and like selling kids and doing this and that. And they're like, oh, you want some food and rice today? Well, you're going to blow me and all my buddies. And this kid's like, what? Oh, yeah, you want that bag of rice?
Yeah.
Like, dude, they've been caught so many fucking times. And you know what happens? Because they're all from like different crazy countries. They're not all Americans. They're not all from this, that, and the other. They can't be punished because they're like on a like voluntary mission, like serving. Like, so like, let's say this person's like volunteering from South Korea. Like that'll happen where the South Korean will fucking volunteer. And now he's in Haiti and now he diddles some awful, some terrible. He does some awful. Okay. And then like Haiti has no way of punishing him. And then basically what happens, they just send him back to South Korea. And it's one of these fucking terrible fucking things. And it's why, if you look at a country like Venezuela, do you remember this? Venezuela, when they were like hungry as fuck, they were like eating their pet rabbits. Do you remember they were like, rabbits are going to save the economy? And they were like, there was all these fucking articles coming out of Venezuela about people like starving to death. And it was really fucking tragic. Nicolas Maduro was like, no fucking aid. No fucking medicine, no NGOs, nothing. And people are like, he's going to kill his people. What? Why? Because those NGOs were full of fucking CIA agents that were trying to overthrow him, and he fucking knew it. And do you remember that there was like this bridge, and it had like a fucking it had like semi trucks full of like food and aid, and he blew up the bridge and wouldn't let him come over. Like that was a big deal at the time, but he wasn't wrong. He wasn't fucking wrong, because so many of those NGOs, those non-governmental organizations, they really are just fucking feds. Like tons of them were fucking just CIA. Like he was like, is Nicolas Maduro a piece of shit? Sure. But was he right in that scenario, at least from his perspective, to not let all those fucking trucks in? I think so. All those nurses when they showed up and it just smoked his ass. Like,
from his perspective,
from his fucked up perspective, that was a good call. There's a reason why he's still in charge, and they've been trying to kill him. You remember what's the name of the guy that they tried to replace him with? They call him, America just recognizes him as the de facto leader of Venezuela, but nobody else does. You remember?
I don't know his name is. It's just plan didn't work.
He's in charge of Venezuela. I'm gonna look that up because I'm fucking curious. Like, what were you saying, Tony?
Just such a shit job, man. Like, just trying to maintain control over like a country that's about to collapse. Like, everyone wants to kill you.
Okay, that's good. That's funny. Because I Googled it. I just wanted to see what the fuck they were going to say. If I Googled Venezuelan leader, it does come up as Nicolas Maduro. Because I was wondering if they would just say the other guy's name. Because America just recognizes him as the leader, and sometimes Google does their work for them. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's funny as shit.
It's a little bit too obvious not to do that, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, Juan Guaido. That's what it was.
Guaido.
Yeah, on January 23rd, 2019, Guaido and the National Assembly declared that he was the acting president of Venezuela.
So you can just declare it? I'm going to declare it. I'm the president of Venezuela, right? Okay. Like,
he tried, but do you remember that he like went down there and he thought people were gonna go and like support him and help him out, and they were gonna fucking murder him, and he had to get the fuck out of there. So like he'd been living in like Texas at this point. I think I wonder where. Let's find out where Juan Guaido is, because I thought for a minute he was like living in Texas, but still pretending that he was in charge of fucking Venezuela. What a fucking goofball!
Oh, he's somewhere, man. I don't think.
Former acting president of Venezuela. Yeah. 39 years old. He's a young guy. Let's see here. Where is he living? Where is he now? Let's see here. No, he would die. Yeah, Juan Guaido seeks support in Washington after causing a stir in Colombia. This was back in May. What happened to Juan Guaido? Where the fuck? He's in exile. He was denied entry into Colombia. Yeah, nobody's fucking with that guy, dude. Nobody gives a shit about that guy. They're not even going to tell me where he's at. Kinda, except for like half the country pretends that he is our fucking president, that he's not a dead corpse, and that he's not diddling kids. Did you see that picture of him at NATO, or that video of him at NATO where he licked a kid?
Yeah, he's
We're just pretending that it's normal. Dude, I was talking to my wife today, and I was like, because we were sitting there discussing it, and I was like, half of the country is so fucking stupid that like it could legitimately come out right now that the president, the free leader of the world, basically, Joe Biden himself, could be like making smoothies out of aborted fetuses and drinking them every morning to stay sharp, and no one would give a fuck. I don't think anyone would give a shit. Yeah, the right wing, like it would go in the Fox News circles and they'd be talking about it, but like they wouldn't do anything. And what are they gonna do? And they're like, I mean, I don't know, dude. It's just one of these fucking things where like there's so much dirt on him, like so many fucking things. He's the big guy. They keep talking about it. Like, yes, he was like money laundering, and yes, he was selling his name and getting all these political favors and like strong arming and blackmailing people and getting like favors out of people and like, dude, all this shit has fucking come out. Nobody gives a fuck or actually believes it. There could be a video of it and they'd be like, it's a deep fake. Like nobody, like, they just don't care because all of this is about power. And as long as they're wielding the influence of power, they have a gun in the room. Like Democrats don't give a shit. Like you heard Sam Harris say, he goes like, there could be literal fucking video of what do you say, of Hunter eating a child that I wouldn't care.
It's like dead children.
He still would be better than Donald Trump or something awful. And I was like, at least he's honest. They don't give a shit. This is all about power. It always has been about power. We all used to have a semblance that we'd like pretend that we had principles. None of these people have principles.
No, I think it's just a matter of it's just like it's a tribal thing, and it's so hard to switch tribes. And ultimately, it doesn't matter because it's all in the same. Like, there's no actual difference about the stuff that matters, right? Like, you got like Democrats that want to basically have the government control everything, and then you want Republicans that want the government to control just the really important shit.
Everything. No, dude, they even say that, but they actually want the government to control everything. It's one of those things. They just talk a good fucking game. Tell me what are your thoughts on this? What's that new movie, Sound of Freedom? Have you been looking into that at all?
Yeah, I didn't see it yet, so I don't know. I mean, I
haven't watched it either.
It's like a depressing movie, so I'm just like, I don't. It's hard. It's a hard sell, but apparently there's a lot of people watching it.
Yeah, dude, and more power to him, I suppose. Like Henry Cavill, whatever he seems like a decent enough dude. He's probably. I've heard things that he's a Freemason. I've heard that he's a fucking creep. I've heard, whatever. Yeah. You don't get to be a Hollywood actor and not play those fucking games. I don't know. I've seen the pictures of him with one hand over his eye and all the fuck. Who the fuck knows? Who the fuck knows? To be honest with you, I don't know. But have you heard this angle to it, Tony? And I hadn't until like today, like fucking around online, and they were talking about it. Because again, I haven't watched the movie yet. But supposedly, okay, premise of the movie, spoiler alert, I only know what I've heard. So like I could be even giving you a wrong spoiler. Okay. There's an FBI agent working in South America, and he is like fighting against pedophiles and trying to free kid, or I guess he wasn't even doing that. They were just taking down pedophiles at this point, right? And this one little boy comes up to him and is like, hey, can you help me? My sister was taken away. She was like fucking kidnapped. And he's like, okay, I'm going to do that. So long story short, he like starts dedicating himself to trying to do this. And the FBI isn't cool with that or something. And then they're like, hey, we're reassigning you. And he's like, fuck this. I promised I'd save this girl. That might be all the cinematic shit. And again, I haven't watched the movie. This is all that I've heard. So this guy like stops, he like quits and like fucking puts his full time like into saving this girl. And I think he did. I think he finds her, which is good. And I hope she wasn't too traumatized. I'm sure she was. It's fucking terrible. It's fucking god awful. Now, this is what I've heard that they're pushing. And this is fucking interesting because how are you going to get the right wing to sign on to this shit? Unless you do it through something like this. That they're talking that, hey, we need to chip all our kids. That way they can't get kidnapped. And they're pushing kids getting fucking microchips so that they don't get fucking stolen by traffickers and they don't get diddled. That is some nefarious fucking shit. That is some right-wing psyopy bullshit that is going to like get the QAnoners and get the right wing. You're right. We need to get microchips. I'll microchip my cat so somebody doesn't take him. Why shouldn't I microchip my kid? Like, I don't know if that's true. Again, I haven't watched the movie. Could be talking out of my ass, but I've heard this. Anybody in the comment section, if you've watched the fucking movie, tell me. Is this true? Are they like pushing fucking getting kids to get like fucking microchipped? I don't know.
Well, even if it's not done with that purpose, eventually it'll be probably used in that way, right? Because someone's going to figure it out and they're going to be like, okay, like everyone has been traumatized by this movie, so now we're going to use that trauma to manipulate them.
Well, dude, I've heard this before that like I've heard commercials before specifically for this. You should microchip your kids. That way they can't be taken. Hey, do you want to know where your kids are at all times? Do you want to be safe? Do you want to be a good parent? All you got to do is fucking stick this thing under their skin. And dude, that was a legitimate like plot from Black Mirror. Do you remember that woman that like I don't know how much Black Mirror you watch, but it was like this girl, like she had got kidnapped or anyways, but she had a fucking chip in her daughter and they caught her. And then the mom later, as like the girl is becoming like an adolescent, she's becoming a teenager and she's starting to date and stuff. The mom like grabs the thing and starts spying on her again. Cause I guess you can like, anyways, that's like the crux of the whole thing about like, what is privacy? And then like, let's say you do that to your child. Now they always have this microchip in them. Even when they're an adult, they have this fucking microchip in them and they can just be like tracked and traced at any fucking time. And so it seems like maybe it was a good idea when you have a 2-year-old because you don't want them to get lost when you're fucking camping. But now what? Now we're just fucking livestock.
Well, it makes it a lot easier for the government to kill you if we go that way. And, you know, historically that has happened. Like we've had extermination programs. So, I think that's something.
Genocide.
Yeah, that a lot of people don't think about it like that. But I think
that will never happen. Not my Joe Biden.
Well,
not my Donald Trump.
You know,
Donald Trump loves me.
It's extreme, right? It's like, what do you do if you find yourself like underwater in a car, like as it sinks, or like, you know, it's just like one of those things that's like, it probably won't happen to you personally, but if it does, like, you gotta have a fucking plan.
But dude, it's one of those things that it should actually be an easy sell because like the right wing is so afraid of the left. They're saying they're trying to trans our kids and they're trying to destroy our family, and they are, right? But also the left, do you remember when Donald Trump was gonna become president? They're like, Donald Trump right now is getting right-wing militias together to start rounding up the gays and start putting them in concentration camps. Do you remember this? This was like fucking Democrat fear porn, that they were literally going to start rounding up gay people and sticking them in concentration camps. I was like, dude. I was like, there's probably more gays than there are members of the military.
That is so funny too, because Trump is so like,
he's also one of the most gay-friendly presidents we've ever had, period.
Yeah, like he's one guy who just he's a businessman from New York. I mean, he doesn't give a shit about that. Like, of all the things,
fat, rich liberal from New York.
Yeah, it's like, like that is not his concern at all.
But no, he's a fucking goofball.
But it doesn't need to be. It's funny, man. Like, it's so funny because like, that whole issue has been reduced down to like Budweiser and Target and like a bunch of right wingers thinking they're winning some kind of cultural war.
Well, dude, I mean, it's one of those weird things, dude. So this is an interesting thing to talk about, actually, because let's talk about fucking Budweiser for a minute. Because Budweiser is a mega conglomerate. It's not only just Budweiser; it's owned by ABV, and it's this giant fucking company that owns not only Budweiser, but basically every alternative you can think of. Sorry, I had a burp because I'm probably drinking. I'm drinking 10 Barrels Brewing Company right now. This pub beer, this pub lager. If I look this up, it's probably owned by ABV as well. It's supposed to be a local brewing company. It's supposed to be. I think this is out of Bend.
Yeah, that might be independent.
You would think so, buddy. And Oregon, but like Hefeweizen, like all of those, like Widmer, all those local, they all got bought up by these giant conglomerates. That's what happens. So you think you're drinking a microbrew, you think you're drinking a local fucking beer. You're like, oh, well, I'm supporting local. You're not. But anyway, so long story short, what's fascinating to me is that they really are hurting the brand Bud Light. They really are hurting the brand Budweiser. Like Budweiser itself has lost about I think it's like $30 billion. It's some outrageous fucking number, 33 probably, because it's all Illuminati games. So let's say it's for 33 billion fucking dollars that they've lost. But it hasn't touched ABV, the people that actually own this shit, because these people are then like Modelo, which is some Mexican fucking beer company, is now the number one fucking beer sold in the United States. They're also owned by ABV.
Well, to be fair, Budweiser is German.
What are you doing? It's this fucking goofy game that you're playing. All right, we fucking kicked him in the balls, and then you only kicked him in the shin or something. It's so fucking stupid.
No, it's probably.
I get it. I don't. But first of all, why are you drinking Bud Light to begin with?
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. Number one, I think it's probably a really good time to buy Budweiser stock. I mean, it's not going anywhere.
No, I mean, you're probably right. It probably is one of those brands that is going to survive this, because I don't honestly know if the right wing has the fucking cojones to really hold on to this. And maybe they do. Maybe they fucking do. And maybe fucking Budweiser will actually fucking tank. Maybe they will fucking destroy the brand and they'll be over with and done with. But the actual company ABV is doing fine. But to me, what's fascinating is you're seeing these companies that are going so fucking woke, and the right is finally getting their fucking their fucking shit together and going wait, what? These people want to fuck our kids? Yes, retard. These people have been wanting to fuck your kids for a long time. And so they're finally waking up and they're like, holy shit, Budweiser wants to fuck my kids. Yes, they want to fuck your kids, you retard. Same with Disney. Quit going to fucking Disneyland, retard. Anyways, dude, this video is going to get taken down from YouTube. Enjoy it now, guys, because this video is going to get taken down. But what to me is what's funny is that there's more and more companies doing this. Like Maybelline just fucking did a thing where they had a bunch of trannies put on their lipstick and makeup, and so they don't care. They're doubling down, and to me, it's because they don't care if you buy their products or not.
Well, it's ESG.
I think that's more interesting. Yes, I think it's the ESG scores. They don't need money anymore. Money is worthless. These giant corporations know that. They know that money doesn't mean shit anymore. At this point, they're just oh, stock market, whatever. They don't fucking care. You can stop. I think right now, if America stopped buying Budweiser completely, stopped, full stop, no more Bud sales, they'd still be fine because their ESG score is so high. It's why Texaco has a higher ESG score than Tesla. Tesla literally makes electric cars, and Texaco literally fucking sells fucking fossil gas, and they have a higher score because they'll play the woke shit. They'll be like, trannies love gasoline, and they'll do wet tranny t-shirt contests with gasoline. They won't really, but you know what I mean. They'll play the fucking tranny games and they'll put
it's the illusion of capitalism. That's really what it
flag
is.
On Tesla and stuff. Not on Tesla, sorry, Texaco. Sorry, man, my internet shit the bed again. But it's just funny to me that they know where their bread is actually buttered. I don't think they actually care about the American consumer anymore. It's way bigger than that.
No, not at all.
What do you think about that, Tony?
No, I think you're right. I think the ESG scores are really what matters right now. Because if not, no one would give a shit. No one. There's no reason for a corporation to embrace any of this stuff the way it has been. To the degree, because it's just not it's Budweiser, right? First of all, something like Budweiser, it's a weird Pareto number type of thing where 90% of the beer consumed is basically comes from 5% of the people who buy Budweiser or something like that. There's all people who drink a lot of Budweiser, and then there's people who buy a rack, put it in the fridge, and grab one here and there. And those people don't matter to Budweiser traditionally. It's the guy who's going to drink 8 beers a night.
Yeah, to me, dude, this is like the first of like the big companies to do like a self-sacrifice. They're like he's Budweiser is doing the like Harry Carey, right? They're doing the fucking
Yeah.
shanking themselves and killing themselves, and they're kind of. I think they're going to show the rest of the corporations like, look, you don't need the fucking traditional audience anymore. You're not going to need this money. When do you think we're going to have some hardcore ESG rollouts? When do you think we're going to fucking switch to the digidollar? Like, I feel like this shit's probably coming up pretty soon, dude. Because one telltale sign to me is how many giant old fucking music people are selling their entire catalogs right now. They're cashing out. And then another thing that you're seeing is like multi-billionaires, like huge motherfuckers, are selling their entire stock portfolios right now. They're selling every fucking thing that they have. I think they know something that we don't. I think they're getting the fuck out of this system because any fucking money you have in this system, I think is gonna fucking buckle. But I don't know. I mean, I don't want to be fear mongery. I don't want to freak people out. I don't want to like play the, like I'm not trying to be the black pill dude that's like telling everybody the sky is falling. But I think there might actually be something to that.
I'm a little bit more white pilled on that though, because I think the gig is up, and it's kind of like the COVID thing where they know that they had this plan and they just cannot enact it right now. There's too many people who know what an ESG score is. That's not good for them.
I don't think so, dude.
But you can look at why this is happening.
Like, I think we're in a fucking bubble, dude. Like, I think we're in an echo chamber, and we know what an ESG score is. If I tried to talk to my sister right now, and I tried to tell her, you know what an ESG score is? Like, I know right wingers that are like fucking hard freedom lovers. And if you ask them what an ESG score, because I work with them, I'm a machinist, and they'll be like, "A what?" Like they don't know any of this shit. Like I legitimately think that we are in an echo chamber like a motherfucker. You just got back from PorcFest.
Yeah, true. No, true. But like I've been seeing
Go ask your mom. Go ask your mom right now what a fucking ESG score is.
Oh, I talked to her about it. Yeah, like no, I think that like enough people know about it. Yeah, it's like we're a minority, but we're not like a. I think that there's more of us than we just don't get a chance to talk to each other because like you can't bring this stuff up to a lot of people in a lot of social situations because you'll get fired. Or, like like we are living under massive degrees of censorship. So it's really hot. Like you have to kind of be a little bit slyish and have these kind of weird conversations. Like,
yeah, it's nice when you find somebody that you can actually have these kind of conversations with.
Yeah,
it's rare and nice.
Yeah, it's yeah, I think like the right wing kind of they take things a little bit too much at face value. Like they're like these woke CEOs or they're morons, and it's just like, nah, man, they're not celebrating Pride Month in Uganda. Like there are certain things that are just not happening. And there's a reason why they're happening here. And a lot of it's just cultural. Like I think the trans thing is like this weird cultural proxy war in many ways. You get two sides fighting this proxy war. No one gives a shit about like trans, like
Dude, to me though, it's so fucking fascinating watching this this wokester bullshit that's happening as far as like the trans movement goes. Because like, here's the thing about the trans folks, they have been a solid minority in this country forever. I've known folks that have had gender dysphoria, that have thought they were in the wrong bodies and were legitimately like, I feel like I should have been a man. And you know what? That was always just like, they're kind of weird. That's kind of different. I don't really understand it. But, they're like, that's still Steve. And if Steve wants to be called Sue, I'll call her Sue. And like, I knew like conservatives that were like that. I know a tranny right now that's like uber conservative. It's really fucking weird. It's kind of like what's his name? That calls the Kardashian stepdad now stepmom. What's it called?
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
whatever that person's called, whatever that person's name is. where they're like hyper conservative and we're like against gay marriage, and you're like, what?
Fine. Yeah, I don't get it either. I
don't get it either. But like, it's whatever. But like, that was just a part of like normal humans. That like, you know what, humans vary, and there's odd things that happens, and you know, like, I think legitimately, for the most part, most people did not give a fuck and would just kind of let them do their own thing until they started trying to get kids involved in this shit. And to me, that was like where they really were like pushing this shit. And like, that's where they were almost like, to me, it was fucked up to the people that were there before, because now they're getting like thrown into this. You know what I mean? They're like, I don't want anything to do with this. I don't think you should do this to a kid. I'm unhappy. I'm depressed. I think about suicide all the time. I don't want this for a kid. You know what I mean? Like, to me, that was like when people would ask me, they're like, what would you do if your kid was trans? I would say, I would grieve. I would be so fucking sad. And it's like, it's not even because like they think they're in the wrong body. Yes. I mean, yes, that's part of it, right? Because I want grandkids. It's kind of destroys like every thought and fantasy I ever had for my child, like dream that I had for my child. You're like, you just changed everything in a fucking dime, right? That's just, to me, that would be a fucking tragedy. But also, like, dude, the people that actually have gender dysphoria are the most depressed, sad fucking people in the world, that like they legitimately want to kill themselves. And it's not because you can't accept them, it's because they can't accept themselves, dude. It's a little fucking mental illness. And it's like, do you want more people like that? Because like, that sounds awful. Like, I wouldn't want that for another person. But anyways, but I was saying, I get on fucking tangents. But as far as it goes, dude, it's clearly a eugenics operation. It's clearly these people that are like trying to convince people to fucking kill themselves. It's these psycho fucking pathic elites that have like literally been trying to do this for the longest time. It's this fucking, to me, it's a fucking eugenics operation as far as like depopulation agenda. And like, someone was giving me a stat the other day that it was like, there's some years in New York that if you're a black baby that's conceived in the stomach right now, like if you're a fucking child, there's a more than half chance that you're going to be aborted. And I was like, dude, that's a racist wet dream. That's a white supremacist like dream. He's like, really? Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, and these are like what these white liberals that pretend to love black people are cheerleading. They're like, yeah, kill more black babies.
Yeah, you know, like a lot of people at
fuck.
Yeah, I don't really take a lot of what people say at face value if they don't know what they're talking about. I just like, people become NPCs. Like every now and then, like someone will ask me like, who's gonna win the Super Bowl, and I'm always like, you know, like, who's playing? And then you gotta be like, oh, definitely the Broncos, definitely. But like, I have no idea. Like, it's just not my world. I have no idea I don't pretend that I know what I'm doing. But you can't do that.
The Rangers are gonna take it all the way. The Dolphins.
Yeah,
they're doing it. I don't fucking know.
The fucking Lakers. Yeah, like, I have no idea. So like, I don't care. I'm not in that world. Most people aren't in the political world, but they have to be. Like, it's bad not to be. So you just have to. So they're just making shit up. Like,
yeah, I mean, a lot of them are just dummies, dude. A lot of them are just like, these are my talking points that I was fucking sent, or that I watched on CNN or MSNBC, and this is what they told me to say. And if you bring up this argument, that means you're the enemy, and I need to fucking oppose whatever you have to say. And I shouldn't. They literally, there's like fucking like talking points where they're like, all right, you can't have a genuine discussion with them because they're actually bad. And so don't listen to what they actually have to say. And if they say this, just say this. Like they give them like what to say next, but they'll tell them like, don't take their argument on, actually. Just straw man it. This is what you say if they say that. Like, don't address the argument. Just say this. You know, like, because they don't want you to actually stop and think about it. You're like, because if you're sitting there fighting for abortion rights for women, and you think that you're doing good, but you also think that Black Lives Matter, how do you hold those two ideas in your head where you're like, wait a minute, you're saying that more than half of black babies conceived this year are going to be aborted in New York? More than half of them are going to die? But also Black Lives Matter? Wait, how does this work? Like, you can't actually hold those two thoughts in your head. Or if you can, I don't know. Like,
I think you can, but like there's some nuance there. Like, and you have to be like, you can't be a cultist. But it's I forget what shit I was gonna say.
About them getting fucking like things to say instead of actually taking on an argument, or I don't know.
Oh yeah, like I was gonna say, like this whole thing about like you hear conservatives say this a lot, where like the left is winning and we got to employ these strategies because they win. But then it's like, well, as an ideology, that ideology is winning, yes. But the people within that ideology, they're fucked. Like you do not want to end up taking like life points from the left right now because it's not a good life. I mean, there are some people who are doing pretty good corporate jobs. They've got money.
But are they happy?
No, not even like there's not enough medication in the world.
That's the thing, dude. It's like, yeah, I don't think that these people are happy. Even if they're winning, like they're getting their way, but they're not actually getting their way. The thing is that they picked a team a long time ago and now their team's winning. But then you start looking at it, you're like, what's my team doing?
The team is burning down their house, but they're cheerleading outside of it going, well, it's my team. Like
we're taking down the patriarchy.
Yeah, like whatever the
whatever the fuck that means. Yeah. You're like that's always the argument that actually does make a lot of sense to me. They're like women saying that like I don't need no man, and you're like, okay, but like who takes your garbage? Like who builds the fucking roads? Who's the guy that who's the nuclear engineers that are like keep this shit like all these awful shitty fucked up jobs? Who's the guy that like picks the fruit that like, you know what I mean? Who's the fucking farmer? Who's this? You need men like a motherfucker, and you need a shit ton of them for you to have your modern comfortable fucking life. Like it fucking sucks, dude. Like men, we are fucking like there's a couple of us that are in the elite status that are high level this or that. The majority of fucking men are fucking in the trenches just working their fucking dicks to the bone. You know what I mean? Like they're not they're doing this because they love their family and they're trying to keep their fucking family above, you know, like so they can fucking feed them above the poverty line if you possibly can. You know, it's one of these silly arguments with these fucking feminists that say like I don't need a man. You're like, yes you do. Yeah, we all fucking do, and we need a shit ton of them. And it's almost more of a class thing, I guess, than a gender thing. It's just silly when they turn it into a gender thing. I mean, that's another thing with the whole fucking class model, where I look at I've become less and less of a fucking capitalist. Like, not that I don't believe in like free trade. Like, I definitely believe, I guess, in free trade, but it's like the whole corporate model of capitalism and the whole class system. It's like you don't get to be this rich elite son of a bitch unless like you absolutely need people on the lower totem poles to give you this luxury. God damn it, my internet again.
Yeah, it's a little glitchy.
So like you absolutely necessarily it's just funny, dude. Like they need to keep people in their fucking class. They need a certain amount of people in these lower rung. I fucking hate this internet. Fuck this internet.
Okay, you're back.
I pay way too much money for this bullshit. Okay, am I back yet?
Yeah, you're back. No, yeah, I think you're right, but we don't really have real capitalism because stuff like this would never happen. Like, who is the richest person who is not relying on government fuckery? And I don't know who that person is, but like, is there any billionaires who are not in the state at all? Maybe, I don't know, but probably not many. Like, there's only so much money you can legitimately make. There's only so big you can build your empire on your own through legitimate means. And I think, like, that's always the question.
With sound money, like, you're onto something, Tony, because, like, with sound money, you're only going to be able to make so much money until people literally, like, you take all of the money And then there's not enough people that can even afford your product to give you more money. Like, is there a fucking actual way? If we had true capitalism, if we had like money tied to fucking gold, like if we had a sound money supply, a sound economy, would there be real billionaires? Maybe a couple.
Maybe. I mean, but like it would. But also, those billionaires would actually have to be doing something of use. Like, I don't buy into this.
Exactly.
Like, I don't buy into this argument that like everyone is like you got to create value and don't like only good people make money. But like, you got to do something. I mean, someone right now is making a lot of money to make slot machines more addictive, and they're benefiting the casino owner who's paying them, but like not much else. But
yeah, dude, that's when they kind of like video gamed it, right? Where they like someone like I always forget the son of a bitch's name, Freud's nephew. What was his name? Edward Bernays.
Yeah.
Where they start to like gamify the advertising, right? And they start to like literally fuck with people, and they start to like psychologically trick them into like thinking that this product is going to do X for you, right? Where they like tried to trick women into smoking cigarettes because it was almost exclusively men. And so they were like, hey, these are called Liberty Lights, Liberty Sticks. This is how women become empowered. Just light a cigarette, you know? And like, and it worked. Like they did all these fucking like silly mind games on people on this like really sloppy propaganda that probably wouldn't work today, but it might, dude. Like, I don't know, like maybe that pube commercial that I like to as a callback, maybe that's really selling like shavers like crazy. Women are like, yeah, PUB.
Well, no, the commercials wouldn't work, but the process does. It's the same process. It's just like you have different ingredients, you get different data points, and people have different like things in their head that they associate with. So like it's the same formula though. Like you just have to like insert like it's like a math problem where like X plus 2 equals whatever. And it's like X changes, but that formula is always the same.
Well, dude, I was listening to a fucking podcast the other day that was talking about this fucking doctor, and I'm going to forget his name, so I'm just going to fucking mention it. I think it was in Kansas or some shitty... Sorry to my audience that's in Kansas. I know that I'm sure we have some people that listen from Kansas. Anyways, but some state that nobody cares about, so we're just going to call it Kansas. So this guy lives in Kansas, and he's like a pseudo doctor. So this is like in the late 1800s, like it's 18 something, right? Where like you didn't necessarily have to have a full on doctor's diploma, right? Where you kind of like to be a doctor, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't the same kind of regulated system that it is now, which I kind of like. I do kind of like that. That's that. Anyways, I'm still a libertarian. That's still the fucking like the no regulation thing for me. But so this fucking dude, he becomes a doctor and he's like just brainstorming and he's thinking about it. He's like, you know what? You know who fucks good? They're like goats. Goats fuck real good. And he's like, or sheep. It was goats or sheep, one or the other. He's like, dude, they just like rail out their girlfriends and like they're really like full of like testosterone and stamina. Like goats just go to town. So he was like, what if? And like he tricked an entire town into letting him open up your nut sack and him just to stuff goat nuts inside of your sack and then sew it up. And like then he was like charging the equivalent of like it would have been like $15,000 today for like people to do it. And they were like, he's like, does your dick not work? Are you feeling weak? Are you feeling sluggish and tired? If you do this, it was like he was basically like selling like fucking dick pills like the people in the 1800s. He's like, all I got to do is stuff some goat nuts in you. And
I don't know about that, man, but I'm gonna buy some sales techniques off of that guy. He knows how to sell some shit.
Dude, he became like the equivalent of like a billionaire today from doing this because he started in his own little shitty town. It was like Iowa or Kansas again. Sorry guys, I love you guys, but you know your state sucks.
Half of you are fucking half goat.
He was in the middle of the country where like nobody pays attention. So he's in one of those little fucking states, and he does this. Somebody's gonna yell at me because they know who this person is, whoever this doctor is, because it's somewhat famous. Because he's also considered a feminist icon, which is hilarious, and we'll talk about that in a second too. But like, long story short, he fucking got he got in touch and like they gave him a fucking radio station because he had enough money, and so he was like spilling this out into the airwaves and like fucking getting like the governor and getting like all of these people all over the fucking, and then people were coming in from all over the world to have fucking goat nuts stuffed in them, and it's just fucking fascinating. And where was Tony? Why was I talking about this? We were talking about like, capitalism, and we were talking about like people like how would you actually make money, and it like because without the state like protecting him, I guess without the state protecting him, he would have been shut down a long time ago. But to me, that's just one of these like scrupulous, like I guess without regulations, you get a dude that if he's like charismatic enough, he can convince enough people that all they actually need is goat nuts stuffed in them, and they'll then it's like the male vitality that Alex Jones sells you.
Yeah, they were gonna do something dumb anyways. I don't know. Like,
yeah, I know it's one of those weird things. You're like, yeah, but there's enough dumb people that like, if there's not a sign, they're gonna walk too close to the cliff and just fucking fall because they're too stupid.
And maybe I don't know, man.
And even if there's a sign, if there's not a railing. And even if there's a railing, there's not a high enough fence because they're so stupid that they're gonna fucking do it anyways.
You're not gonna put a sign up that says "Don't climb fence."
Yeah, they're just dummies, man. And I don't know what to do about that. I mean, that's like one of those social Darwinist kind of fucking scenarios. You know what's funny is that, so I was gonna say why he's a feminist icon as well, is because he was the first person to really, in the same way that he was trying to sell his product, trying to sell dudes to get like goat nuts sewed in them, he was like talking about ladies' orgasms. And this was like in the 1800s where like you didn't talk about lady orgasms. And he was like, hey, you want to please your woman, right? You want to make her feel real good. Like, and he was talking about like basically saying like women's orgasms are a necessary thing. It's a good thing. You should like, it should be the norm to please your woman and stuff like that. And so he was doing it by selling his goat nuts, but he was also talking about like women empowerment, how women orgasms actually existed. And that like, you should please your partner. Like, cause that wasn't a thing. They were just like, knock the bitch up and she'll make you a sandwich. You know, so I mean, anyways, he's literally considered a feminist icon, whatever this fucking doctor's name is, and I can't think of it.
Oh, that's wacky, man. Like doctors have like they're the craziest people though. Like you ever hear about the lobotomy mobile?
Yeah, dude, and it was fucked up.
Just a couple traveling like around the country, just giving people these ice pick lobotomies for like having headaches and shit.
Sheep balls in them. I'm Googling this real fast. Let's see here. Doctor to put sheep balls. His name. Okay, here we go. This was 1885 is when he was born, and he died in 1942. He was best known for the notorious goat gland doctor. That's what he was best known as. So they would just call nuts glands. So he kept calling them like goat glands.
Yeah.
And he performed. He made millions of dollars by performing. He called them xenotransplants. He inserted goat testicles into the scrotum of male humans to increase their vitality. His name is John Richard Brinkley.
How do you find that out? Like, how do you like, because that's just something you would normally do. It's just like cut open a goat and be like, okay, like
he was watching goats fuck because I guess goats have like big nuts, dude.
There's some like missing steps in here though, man. Like then you have to find someone. Or did he do it on himself?
He claims like if you listen to like the lore of like how this came to be, he claims that this loser came in who's like, my dick doesn't work, doctor, what can you do for me? And then he was like, you know what, goats fuck good. Have you ever seen goats fuck? They never stop fucking. They got big nuts and they're really like masculine. What if I had goat nuts? And then the doctor, it's like one of those bing, and a light bulb goes up above his head. And then he says that like he like mentions it to the guy, and then the guy like begs him and almost forces him to stick goat nuts in him. And so he fucking did it. This is like, it's silly. I don't know how much of it is true. It's probably bullshit. But what is also funny is that there's like different types of goats, and so he chose the right goats. And I'm trying to remember what fucking type of goat he used. I don't remember, but specifically, there were some rich folks that requested the Angora goats. So there's these goats that had this like beautiful fucking like fur, whatever the fuck it is, wool, and they're like the very most expensive goats you can have. But apparently, their testicles really stink. They have like a particular odor, and they cause the person's nuts to stink really bad when he'd stuff them in there. But I also imagine like you're putting dead, decaying fucking goat material inside of your fucking self, and it's
how does your body is not gonna fucking accept that? Like you just can't. Like I've never heard of like an organ transplant from like an. I guess like. Well, no, I think like someone did like a monkey heart transplant or something like that. But like, I don't know.
Yeah, but dude, it's not like he's even like connecting them to anything. It's not like it's like a heart transplant. They don't just stick a heart in there. They like fucking like sew like the what I mean? They the ventricles and the aorta and all the fucking things to match up, and they don't just stick a baboon heart in there. They like try to get it to work. Like this guy was just stuffing extra nuts in your sack and then sewing it up.
I mean, maybe a placebo effect, but yeah, that shit's gonna rot.
No, that's what they said. That actually, like a lot of people, I think the majority of people felt differently. They felt that it helped them, but there is a fuck ton of people that it did not help, and a lot of people were like, because I guess that Dr. Brinkley would get really drunk and he would just like kill people on his operating table.
Well, that was common back in the day for doctors. You'd have to kill some people. What was anesthesia like? Like what year was he? Like what were the years he was doing? Like because that's like
late 1800s. Late 1800s.
I don't think there was that much anesthesia back then.
I mean, you think they'd at least give you like some sweet opium or something like can you give me some milk of the poppy kind of thing? You know what I mean? Like
yeah, that's rough, man. That's not a good anesthetic for that at all.
No, I don't know I don't remember ever doing it. I think I've tried opium years ago. I think it would be better than nothing, though. At least like give me some opium and let me drink like I don't know half a fucking fifth. Like give me some whiskey and opium and then fucking chop my nutsack open. I guess where I'm like in a fucking stupor and.
Well, yeah, the thing is, like, if you drink, you'll bleed out because alcohol's gonna thin your blood. So, like, it's
you're either gonna kill me by like putting like dead material inside of my body and letting it rot from the inside, or
that shoots you, man. This doctor might be a little bit more fly by the pants than I am.
Yeah,
this
drunk out in an opium-induced stupor, and then that's a better way to go. Dude, yeah, these people, dude, that was the fucking sad part is like some of those people were so poor that they were like they were like physically fucked up, and they were like poor folks that would like work like manual labor jobs that they were probably like too tired to go home and fuck their wife. Yeah. That like they thought they needed more male vitality, so they were putting their homes up for mortgages, like selling everything they owned just to get this done, and then they would get all fucked up by this guy.
Did he take out the original bulls, or did he?
So not to my knowledge. Like I haven't seen like. I think there's actual pictures of some of this stuff, and I don't really want to watch it.
I don't. No. So like, if you take out, then you're not attached to them. Like, there's nothing to attach them to. You don't have like extra hookups sit down. Like it's not like extra plugs.
And I've worked with testicles before. Like I'm a chef, so like I've worked with like bull's testicles a lot actually, because they would call this the cowboy. I don't fucking. It was a bunch of fucking drunk, really rich, dumb assholes that wanted to consider themselves like cowboys, and so like we would do this like cowboy dinner for them, and like it was yummy. Like for the most part, we took these big giant loins in New York or whatever, and we'd smoke them and then we'd slice them up for them like it was prime rib. And we'd give them corn on the cob and baked potatoes with bacon and sour cream, and like just kind of cowboy bullshit, And then we'd also do an appetizer for them while they're sitting there just drinking goo gobs of fucking like old fashions and whiskeys and like aged scotch. I would personally had to cut thousands of bull testicles to fuck. We would sit there and just like cut them and skin them, and because like they come in. So we're taking young bulls testicles because I guess like fully mature bulls testicles, dude. They're like the size of a fucking like pint of beer. You know what I mean? They're like these big monsters. So we take these young bull testicles that are like, what's a good description? Like what? It's like the size of your thumb, basically. Like you know what I mean? They were like a big oval thumb.
Okay, like a popper. Okay.
Yeah. So and what you do is you want them like semi-Fredo. You want them semi-frozen because the inside of them is going to be like almost like pudding. So they're gross. And they're like membrane pudding. On the outside is like the silver skin, and like they have all these veiny, weird lines and shit on them. They're gross. So what you got to do is you have to have them semi-frozen so that like you don't want them too frozen because then they're hard to work with. You don't want them too thawed because then they're impossible to work with because then it's just like trying to like cut snot. So you're like trying to fucking get them semi-frozen. They have to be perfect peak frozen. So then you can cut the outside and you take like a paring knife and you just kind of scrape the snot out of the membrane. And you just go like this. And then we would just bread them and fry them. And we do it like in a variety of different ways. And like then you're just basically eating almost like chicken nuggets at this point.
Yeah.
You know, and we'd have yummy dipping sauces for them. And like, you know what I mean? They were pretty good. Because like you just take these nuts and you deep fry them and like they'd be like crunchy and yummy in a fucking yummy sauce. And these fucking drunk fucking old white men that thought they were cowboys just ate them up and were, yeah, I'll eat me a nut. You know what I mean? Then they could tell people they had Rocky Mountain oysters. And,
it's Friday. I would do it.
And they're shit hammered, dude. These guys are fucking shit hammered, and they can laugh about putting balls in their mouth. You know what I mean? Like that's what they were doing. They were just having.
Completely. I get it. You ever see that Japanese dude? I think he's Japanese. I don't know. He's Asian. I want to say Japanese, but who cut up his own testicles and served them up to people?
No, but what a goddamn monster!
No, man, it's the creepiest story. So basically, he was just like this asexual dude who didn't have a need for his testicles anymore. I guess beforehand he like fucked a lot of people like in a month, and then he was like, "Oh yeah, that doesn't do anything," because which is always kind of funny because you're like, "Okay, yeah, so you just fucked like 50 people this month, and yeah, it didn't do it for you." Like, but anyways,
was he good looking? How did he fuck 50 people? Was he fucking prostitutes or were they like?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure like someone might have the type, but anyways. He was basically saying that he was going to remove his testicles and ball and dick, cook them up, and he was going to auction off that dinner. Now, here's the fucked up part. How many people you think bidded on it?
A lot, dude. I actually think there's a lot of people that bidded on it.
Yeah, so there's like 300 people who paid to eat this. There wasn't enough to go around, so only a couple of people got to eat. But like
you gotta again where the semi-Fredo, you gotta freeze that shit. So you gotta like quick freeze it so that you can get that paper thin slice like carpaccio. You know what I mean? You gotta really fucking slice that. Almost take that nut and then like take it like on a meat slicer and get that real paper thin. So then you can get 300 people. They're all paying top dollar, but they get a slice of that fresh nut. They get a like that. You gotta put a little truffle oil on it, some chervil. You got to put some fresh, like some fleur de sel, some of that gray, like French sea salt on there. Or maybe it's naturally salty. I don't know.
You got a good side hustle going on in case like this.
Yeah, buddy.
I mean, he can't do it anymore, but like it's so fucked up though, man. I saw pictures of it, man. And you see like
you might need a little squeeze of fresh lemon to help cut down some of the gaminess.
The presentation was not good on this one.
Yeah, see, this is where he needed me. Like, if he was giving me like some of the cut, like I'd be like, "All right, let's throw those nuts. Okay, chop them off. Like, we're gonna have to live stream him chopping his dick and balls off because that's part of the experience. And now we gotta throw him straight in the freezer. Okay, straight in the freezer, and then we're gonna fucking. Then I'm gonna get one of my knives really sharp. We're already in Japan. You know they got some really sharp sushi knives. Like they're fucking good to go. Let's get some sushi rice going so that like because we got to fill them up. They're paying a lot of money for this. Like you got to get some bang for the buck. So like let's stuff them with some rice. So like they get a nice thing of rice. We'll get some miso soup rocking. We'll have like some of that fucking seaweed salad. Like these people are paying top dollars. We got to take care of them. So, and then we got to get it, and then I'll get that knife out, and then everybody's watching while I do that real thin fucking slice. Everybody gets just a little bit. Then you got to get some of that fucking like those fucking Tobiko. You know what I mean?
You are way too into this shit, man.
Stick it on there.
You are getting way too into this.
Get the wasabi. Yeah, get some of that soy sauce. We got to like fucking mix it just right. Some It really brings out the nuts. It really brings out the fucking flavor.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. Like, so the thing is, like, the people.
You have to buy you're buying the experience.
Well, that's the thing. These people are just doing a much, much creepier version than the people that you were dealing with the bull testicles. But the same thing. It's just like, it's just so much fucking creepier.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It's weird. It's one of those weird it's one of those lifetime experience things. Like, dude, to me, I think that they're like they've talked about this, and this is like an actual real fucking thing. They have like, if you go on like the deep web and stuff like that, they have these things called like red rooms. You know what I'm talking about, Tony?
No.
So like a red room is like you can watch like where I don't know if this guy like I would hope that like you like this sounds either way it's fucked up. Either way this is fucked up. But let's say there's two scenarios. They have a person. And I hope this person was able to like sell themselves at least, where they're like, can you like give me like $100,000 that I can give my fucking family and kids and stuff, or they just kidnapped a guy. I don't know how they procure this human being, but they have a human being. Okay, so this is what they got. They got a person, and they have a bunch of cameras on them, and this is live streaming to all corners of the world via the dark web. Okay, and he's in a chair, and he's tied to the fucking chair. And then this is almost like a dirty like Snapchat like talkie thing with a chick where you can be like, "Hey, I'll send you a tip if you spread your butt." You know, something terrible. Like put your toes to the camera. I'll send you $50. You know, that sort of thing. Except that they're like, okay, chop the tip of his nose off and I'll send you 5,000 in Bitcoin. And then that's what these red rooms are, where they have this dude sitting in the chair. They're like, all right, scoop his eyeball out and stick it in your ass, and I'll give you $10,000. And they just like, dude, and they just like murder someone. It's like a live stream snuff film that you can watch, and they call it a red room, and they're just the worst thing on the planet. It's the worst thing. So that's where I was saying, like, either way, they got a dude in a chair, and I hope they at least allow him to sell himself first. They're like, hey, can I get in on some of this money? Like, I'll let you kill me, I guess, because like we're about to lose the house. I want to be able to take care of my wife. Right? You know, I don't know, but probably they just kidnapped.
Probably not. No,
they probably just kidnapped the dude and save all the fucking money. Because like the dudes that are willing to do something like this don't really have any, scruples or.
No, I don't think they're like ethical about business practices.
I assume it's got to be like the Chinese triad, and probably like also what do you call those folks in Mexico? Like probably some of the cartels and stuff that are just like.
It could be like people that they want to off anyways, and
and then hey, why don't you make some fucking money while you're doing it, while you're at it?
Oh, that's so fucking sick. Yeah,
it's fucked up.
And like I'm assuming it's a lot of money. It's a lot of people who are just.
Oh, dude, yeah, they're getting like $5,000 a nipple. So like, and this dude has 2 nipples. How many fingers he's got? So that you can probably only take like one at the joint. Like that's $5,000. That's $5,000. That's $5,000. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And they're probably like cauterize it instantly, so they can like keep it going for a minute. You know, he doesn't just like bleed to death. It's fucked up, dude. I've never actually watched one. I've known people that have watched these, and they've like told me all about it. I don't want to see that.
No,
I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want one of those images. I don't want to see that person's face. I don't want to see like the fucking image of fear and pain on his face, and then the ghoulish son of a bitch that does it. I mean, I imagine the person that does it has to wear a mask. Like they gotta stay anonymous.
And I mean, hopefully it's fake. You know what I mean? Like I imagine.
I don't think so, dude. I mean, Yes, you would hope so. And so let's put that out in the ether. It's probably fake. I hope to God it's fake.
There's some really fucked up people in that. Like,
it happens in probably like Southeast Asia and Latin America and places in Africa and probably Ukraine, where people are poor and desperate and like fucking tragic, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shit's gnarly, dog. That shit's gnarly. What do you think about aliens, Tony? Are we gonna get some fucking Project Bluebeam? Or like, have you heard about that alien in Las Vegas and the whole like that cop that had the fucking camera on him and like what's going on in aliens for you, Tony? What do you think?
I don't know, man. I would like it, man. I think it would be kind of a fun distraction. Yeah, I'm pro alien, man. I want to see some aliens. I think it's about time. It's kind of like the one conspiracy theory that you're allowed to have now. So I feel like
it's one of those innocent ones, right? Like nobody really gives a fuck. That's what I thought about, like when I really started like digging into Bigfoot.
Yeah, it's like that.
At the time, like if you were questioning like the Roan Dog or whatever, you were persona non grata. You were the fucking numero uno bad piece of shit. But if I told people I was into Bigfoot, they're like, "Oh, you silly goofball." You know what I mean? They were just like, "Yo, you're retarded. Clearly, there's no Bigfoot, but whatever."
Well, and even then you could actually like once you have a kind of conspiracy like that, then it's like you are allowed to have other conspiracies a little bit more.
Well, like, yeah, because you're a kook. You're their kook.
Yeah. And that's fine because
yeah, I mean, and that was the other thing about aliens. At least, I mean, legitimately, normal people are talking about it, and it's being talked about like on a widespread thing where like people won't just like completely dismiss you because there's been enough like sci-fi like in popular media that like they're like, well, yeah, you're right, the universe is vast and like it's supposed to be unlimited. Well, it would make sense that there's aliens, and I personally don't believe in like actual outer space aliens, but maybe, I mean, who the fuck knows? But I don't think so. But again, who the fuck knows? I definitely don't have the answer to that. I mean, if anybody has the answer, it's not me.
Well, it's weird now that we have gotten this completely inverted world where normies believe in aliens and conspiracy theorists don't, for the most part.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, the majority of fucking conspiracy theorists are like fake and gay, not real. And
yeah.
Right. Normies are like aliens. You're 100% right, Tony. That's funny.
It's like you just got like a hand-me-down conspiracy. Like, oh yeah, that stuff is dumb. Like we don't want that anymore.
Well, it's funny too because like I do honestly think there's some psyopy shit around it, and I think that's why they're pushing it into the mainstream, and I think that's why like my mom will fucking bring up aliens to me. You know what I mean? Like where like real normies will bring up aliens, and I think, but also like I think a lot of conspiracy theorists, especially myself, like I'm talking about myself here, where we're like jaded with that shit. We feel like we're being lied to all the time. So like if something gets brought up in the mainstream, our first inclination is just to be like, nope, not true, fake and gay.
Well,
like, just completely just. There's definitely something to that.
Oh yeah, you gotta. Like as soon as you see something on the news, and it's like, okay, what's actually going on, and you start to think in that way. But I don't know.
Well, I mean, we're so easy to manipulate in some ways because it's like if they're talking about it, it instantly can't be true.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And so they can feed us a bunch of bullshit. And like, I mean, that's how like QAnon became a thing. You know what I mean? It's like they fed us this like the white hat kind of alternative media shit, and people just glommed onto it. I don't know how much of what I said you actually heard. I don't know. My internet was being shitty again.
That came through. Yeah, I think that like we really just like it's like everything else. You have no idea what's happening in the world, and whether there's aliens or not. I don't know. Like it's hard to believe that. I I think if there were gonna be aliens here, like either we wouldn't know about it or they would be here where everyone would know about it. Like it just seems like they would just have control over that. And there'd be no reason that the aliens would want to hide or not. Like I don't think that talking to our leaders or anything like that any more than like we're just a different species to them if they exist.
Theoretically, Tony, what do you think about this? Like, let's say that they've been around for a long time, that they were the power behind the throne. Like when we hear stories about the Anunnaki, we talk about the Anunnaki. They came down, they bred with the whoever they found here, the Homo erectus, like the gorilla type, whatever. Like they found some apes that were kind of advanced. They had sex with them or whatever, bred with them, or did genetic alterations with them and made a new species that was us, and that they were the power in charge, that they were like the giants, they were the Nephilim, they were these creatures of like to me it would sort of make sense that eventually like once you realize that direct rule doesn't work very well, because like let's say that you're like directly in charge, you are the direct like dictator, like people will rise up and take you out, like in the form of like a monarchy, right?
Yeah.
Where what we have like representational like a republic democracy, whatever the fuck it's called, democratic republic rather, where you have to like vote, and then you vote, and then this person casts your vote, and then this is how you put this person in charge, and so we just have to vote harder. Like to me, like maybe these people are in charge and have been in charge, and they've just got smarter, and they've slowly, kind of like that meme of like Homer Simpson, like kind of backing into the fucking like backing into the hedge, you know what I mean, and like hiding. Yeah. Like, I mean, I'll theoretically like play around with that idea that maybe these people are these creatures, or maybe descendants of these creatures are still in charge. Maybe there's a couple species on the planet that are like, and maybe they're smarter than us.
Oh yeah,
maybe they are fucking smarter than us. I don't know.
If they're on our planet, then they're probably smarter than we are. Like I'll entertain the idea that they might be controlling things. I just don't get the idea that like people have any say on it. It's just like if you have a bunch of cats outside your house, like you might feed a couple of them and favor them because they keep the mice away. But like those cats have no say in what you do in your life. Like it's just a very different level of awareness. I just feel like it's like that. Like they don't give a shit what we're doing or what we're not. Like
you don't think so? I mean,
it doesn't matter.
They might be the ones that are like sitting fat right now and pretty. Like they have, I don't know. They might be the bankers. Maybe they're the fucking central bankers. Maybe they're the fucking Rothschilds, or maybe they're the people behind the fucking Rothschilds. I don't know. Or what are your thoughts on that? Really? Well, she's not. I've had a few beers, so I'm gonna emphasize how sexy she is. But she was cute, dude. How about that chick on the airplane that was like, I don't care. You can believe me or not believe me. That guy is not real. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Was there a reptilian shapeshifter on that airplane, Tony?
Possibly. She was high as fuck. I mean, you know, it's
she was high. Right. You're not even going to like imagine that maybe there was like. Do you leave room for the possibility that there are reptilian shape-shifting creatures that are inhabiting the same space as us right here, right now?
I mean, who knows what's actually going on? My thoughts on it is that they're not necessarily occupying the same space, but they can interface in a way, kind of like we're not sharing the same space, but we're communicating. So it's kind of like that. Like I know you're doing, you kind of know what I'm doing, but it's probably a little bit more interdimensional, and I don't think that they would need planes to travel. They would just kind of go in and out of people. I think it's more of like, I think that they use our bodies kind of more like vessels, and they just kind of insert themselves and kind of use them. But then it's like,
I mean, that's where I was for a long time, and that's where I am sometimes too. But like, tell me the difference between that and demon possession.
Well, the only difference really is difference? Like not much. I mean, the only difference would be like one is like pure evil in some kind of thought way, and the other one is just like this other entity that may be evil, maybe just different, maybe has its own agenda and is outside of our moral system. But like outside of all of that, like it's definitely like a possession, yeah.
Well, I mean, I would think that anything that like, because like we've given the idea of a demon to be this evil thing, but like, how the fuck do we? You know what I mean? It's like it's this otherworldly creature that is taking your body without consent and inhibiting, like doing their fucking will. You know, and like so to me, that sounds pretty goddamn evil.
But it exists in nature. Like that's a pattern that exists everywhere in nature. It's like those flies that will get possessed by that brain parasite and they'll drown themselves so they can be eaten by the whatever fish they get eaten by.
Like the majority of fucking praying mantises that all have those fucking giant worms inside of them.
Yeah, like toxoplasmosis, like mice will become attracted to cats. So like
that's why I'm saying that like demons get a bad rap. Let's say that demons are those things. They have a bad rap because we happen to be humans and we don't want a parasite that takes over our mind and makes it do things that we don't want to do.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of the times, like, we just get stuck in these metaphors of, like, practically, like, yeah, like, we do not want this. It's good, so we're just like, it's evil. And that works. It may be accurate. I don't know. I tend to think that it's just...
Dude, from the praying mantis's perspective, that worm is evil as fuck.
Oh, sure it is. Sure it is. But, like, it's also just part of the cycle of nature. And there's like, to me, it's like absurd to think that we don't have predators just because we don't see predators, because it doesn't work like that. Like sometimes animals are very unaware of the things that are preying on them. So why would that be? Like, what's more likely, that pattern continues with us, or that we just don't have any natural predators outside of like things that we can deal with, like bears and alligators? But like,
I don't know, man. You've told me this theory before, and I think it's compelling. It's fucking fascinating because it's like I think about all the people that have gone missing and like let's say the missing 411 and things like that, where it's like there's literal families that are like walking together, and someone will be like right next to me, like you and I taking a walk in the woods, and I'm walking with you and we're having a conversation. You stop talking and I turn around and you're just gone. And people are like, what? Like, and they're like, they'll get search parties together and they'll comb every fucking square inch of this place, like in a fucking 50-mile radius. And there's no trace of you. There's no footprints. You just disappeared. And that's weird and crazy and hard to explain, where there'll be a story where just like a kid, like where my son is like literally like just like a couple feet behind me and I turn around and they're just gone without a fucking trace. And it's wild to me. Like if there were something interdimensional that is preying on us, like I think about it in all kinds of different ways, because like even is it David Paulides? Who's the guy that I think he's the guy from the Missing 411, right? Am I tripping?
Offhand, I don't know.
I can't remember. We're Facebook friends. I should fucking know this. He's a nice guy. Anyways, I should probably reach out to him, probably talk to him. Interesting dude, smart dude. Missing 411 was a really interesting idea. But I even think that he is now pushing it in this direction where he goes like, look, I don't know why, but I haven't seen the new documentary and I don't even know if it's out yet, but I think it is. Where he's like, look, there's these fucking UFOs that we can't explain that are showing up in these places and are in so many of these stories, and people don't want to hear this. Like they're on board when you're talking about people just going missing and they're like, oh my God, what happened? And then when this person like talks about like a UFO being there, then like your normies are like, oh, whatever, you know? But it is something, and there is something to it, and it's kind of fucking unexplainable and fucking scary and crazy that there are these UFOs that are like appearing when these people are going missing.
And it could be different
all the time, but sometimes.
And these could be completely unrelated phenomenons too. So
they could be, but like to not even be allowed to ask that question is crazy.
No, but like you could have UFOs doing whatever UFO stuff and taking people. You could have people getting possessed all the time. Like we were talking about ticks and Lyme disease. That could be part of it. It could lead to deeper possessions. People get all sorts of weird mental problems where it's people become anorexic where they just think they're fat even though they're wasting away, right? You're like, what is that? You can look at a mirror and you know that, you can see your ribs, you can see your bones, and just like they still cannot eat, right? Like, what is that? What is that disconnect? To bring this to the trans thing,
well, dude, they don't even see it.
Maybe
they still look in the mirror and they will see fat.
Yeah, so like we have
where everyone else looks at them, like you're saying, you see skin and fucking bones and their ribs hanging out. You're like, what the fuck? And they're like, yeah, I know I'm fat, aren't I? And they literally see that.
The mind is a fucking crazy thing, man, too. Like, we can trick ourselves into believing all sorts of shit. Fucking terrifying being conscious. And all these things that can play havoc with it. So, we live in a truly weird world.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, we don't like to think about all of this shit. So, like, a lot of people just do want to be normie because this shit gets really dark. It gets really uncomfortable. We become a lot less safe. Like, now I'm no longer just in a house and I'm safe from the outside world with these walls because those interdimensional creatures don't give a shit about that. Whatever aliens out there, like, they're not going to be stopped by my fucking lock on my door. They didn't travel for fucking 20 galaxies away and just been like, we can't figure out a deadlock, so we become vulnerable. And that is not true condition.
Yeah, man, it's fucking bizarre, dude, where we tell all these fucking stories to explain these scary occurrences that happen. And like, that was the whole, like, Joe Rogan was the first person to kind of explain this as far as, like, for me at least, I mean, there's been a million people before him to talk about this sort of thing, where the whole concept of like aliens, werewolves, fucking Bigfoot, and this and that and the other was about like people moving to cities. And once you're in a city, like, lions aren't going to come into the city and fucking scoop you out anymore. But you still have these ideas of these scary fucking creatures. And so they turn into myth, they turn into stories, they turn into tales about these like creatures that if you venture out, then these monsters will get you. And they probably had an actual real source. But I'm also kind of a weirdo that believes in this paranormal, in these old stories. I think that there is something to the tales of fairies and the tales of fucking goblins and trolls and tales of vampires and these tales of werewolves. I think that there's something more supernatural to it. And I don't believe in dinosaurs, but I do believe in dragons. And it's fucking weird, man. The world is more wild and crazy to me than it is to normal people, I think. And I give some of these old stories more credit than the mainstream does, than the folks that are, the folks that are listening to your normal fucking bullshit. I think that there's something to it. I still I am hunting for Bigfoot as we speak. I don't know, Tony. What do you think, buddy? Where are you at the paranormal right now?
I don't have a lot of experience with it, so I don't know. I have an open mind to it. I think it's something. I do think that with a lot of things like this, I think that we're trying to fit an experience into our brains, and our brains is going to filter that, but it's also not capable of truly capturing what an experience is. So like, like if you live with a dog or something like that, you go about your day, you drive your car around. Your dog has no fucking clue on what you're doing or what you're doing is a complete mystery, and it probably has its own weird idea of what's going on. And I feel like that's just the way that we are with a lot of this stuff. Is we're telling ourselves stories the best we can, and whatever's out there, like they get their own agendas, and yeah, it's hard enough just to connect to another human and have a conversation and be like, not have miscommunication. So like when you start to get to interdimensional creatures, I'm like, there's gonna be some shit lost in translation, and it's. But yeah, I think the weirdest thing that could possibly be is that the world is exactly the way that we think it is now. You know what I mean? Like what would be weirder than, the universe just came into existence for no apparent reason, and then after some time things became alive, and then some of those alive things became conscious, and then from that, like, intelligence grew, and like that. Like
that to me is more unbelievable than Bigfoot.
Yeah, like I
don't know if we've ever even had this conversation before, but like, have you had any like paranormal experiences? Have you ever like had any ghost experiences? Like, have you had anything that like as a kid, like some creepy shit, or like, I don't know if we've ever even discussed that before.
I mean, I've been creeped out before. I've had like sensations of like just kind of like a bad feeling about something, but nothing that I could say like that was definitively like something odd. Maybe coincidences where like I'll be calling someone like who I haven't talked to in like months, and they're calling me at the same time, like that kind of stuff. And I do think there's like a kind of telepathy,
synchronicities and things.
Yeah, and I think that like I kind of take the idea that like it's good to have a foot in both worlds and be just try to figure out like, okay, like there's probably a rational explanation for this, but it doesn't mean the rational explanation. I think there's a little bit more magic in the world. There's a little bit more stuff going on behind the scenes than we can even perceive, because like we're here, like the biggest mystery of all is like we're conscious, you're conscious, I'm conscious. Like that right there is a very weird experience. There should be no consciousness in the world unless it's always been here, right? Because it couldn't just come. Like this whole idea that it's an emergent property, like it just came about because things got complicated. Like that makes absolutely no fucking sense. Consciousness is not something that just comes about. Like,
yeah, dude, I mean, to me, that's the most crazy thing where like, I love Thomas. Thomas is fucking brilliant, but he's kind of one of the folks that like, I mean, Thomas is all over the place and he doesn't necessarily say he knows anything, but like one of the things he talks about is like the stoned ape theory. And I like that theory to some extent, where like you have some ape that like starts eating fucking mushrooms, and it gets them high as shit, and then it starts expanding the gray matter in their brain, and all of a sudden this is where consciousness arises from. But I'm like, dude, there's other animals that fucking eat, like there's other animals that eat mushrooms right now, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And like, how did these like particular monkeys, they were able to like eat this, and it just expanded their fucking brain? Like, I think there's still more holes in the theories that like, I absolutely think that like mushrooms, okay, to me, people will say I'm stupid, and that's fine, and they'll say you're just retarded for believing in this, but I feel that like we had a creator to this universe was created as like a fucking almost like Goldilocks paradise for human beings. We are created by the creator with these fucking thoughts, feelings, consciousness. Like this is what was made for us. Like we're here specifically. We're not random. We're not here just because. We didn't just evolve like for this place. Like this place was made for us. Like we're here. We are. This is the Garden of Eden, and we're here right now. And to me, I think that probably our brains have evolved alongside by using psilocybin and things like that. Like my consciousness has expanded. My thoughts, my like entire world has grown because of psilocybin. I don't know, dude. I don't know. I mean, I know you're probably not on board with like creationism in the way that I am.
Well, yeah, I'll say like Well, consciousness had to been there before we started eating mushrooms because like there was something there before that, and I definitely think like it makes sense that it augmented it to some degree. To the degree that we went from like monkeys, like there had to be something else. I'm completely open to the idea that we've been genetically modified by something, like at some
It's
point,
possible, dude.
like an interdimensional, extra dimensional, like whatever that is. But like I think that makes sense to me that we were this kind of hominid, and then something came down and just tweaked a couple of DNA strands, and they go like, okay, now we got this, and
It's a
sent us as
weird one,
monkeys.
man, right? I mean, the whole Anunnaki story and then how it connects to the Bible with like the Watchers, where these like
Yeah,
powerful beings that were created by God were here to watch over us. And then they were like, that shit got a fat dumper though. And they come down here and they start impregnating some human women and then start creating like the Nephilim. And in that way, like, are we I think that like people are like looking for the Nephilim where they think the Nephilim is dead. I think that if in that way we are the Nephilim, I think that we are the hybrid species of maybe this higher dimensional being that came down and humped whatever we were. And so in that way, like I mean, these are all theories that like I'm not the first to fucking discuss this stuff, but like maybe some of those hominids that before the evolution are still around, and that's what Bigfoot is. You know, that's like our cousin that didn't get the alien mix, or maybe they're the mix. I don't know, man. It's a fun one, man.
we're a weird species. Like we just do weird. Like
We're talking right now on a computer, like fucking. How the fuck far away are you? Like 16-hour drive, 24-hour drive. Like we're sitting here talking about like how did we become here? Like how did
yeah, exactly. And we've adapted over the course of our lifetimes because this shit was not here 20 years ago. And we figured out how to use this stuff. Yeah, and it's like we don't believe in magic anymore.
This is magic, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the wild thing is like we're all magicians now. And we're like, magic's not real. Kazam.
Yeah, and it's like it's such ignorance about the nature of like what magic is. And it's like, no, it's not
fireworks were magic, dude.
Yeah, it's
like the dudes that like could do fireworks that had gunpowder knew the secret, the occult knowledge of gunpowder that could make fucking, you know what I mean? They could make a bottle rocket. That was considered high magic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild, man. Yeah. I don't know. We'll never know all the answers, but I love asking questions.
I think that's what we're here for, man. I think that's ultimately is just to ask questions.
Yeah, buddy. We're a little past 2 hours, and it's probably, what is this, 11 o'clock your time? It's midnight. No, it's not. It's 11 o'clock.
Yeah, we've been going.
I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you get some sleep.
All right. Take care.
This was fun, man. Let's fucking do it again. Let's do it more often because it's been a minute.
Yeah, man. And if you ever want to get a job cooking up testicles, I think.
You got the spot down there? You got the hookup for the testicles over there?
Ah, shit, man. You can do that shit anywhere.
Yeah.
No one's doing it, no matter where you go.
Yeah. You know, there's a reason sometimes that people aren't doing stuff because testicles are gross. They're not good. You can batter them, you can fry them, and you can try to make them palatable. But at the end of the day, I'd rather eat like anything else deep fried.
You know, anything that you need to batter up and completely hide the flavor of that you're eating because it's weird. It's like something you don't like. You know what I mean? Like I had kidneys, and like kidneys were fucking great, but like I had them like kid. Like I didn't do anything weird to them. I didn't batter them up, and
yeah, when almost anything else is better. So yeah, brother.
All right.
Cheers, my friend.
Take care, man.